Duncan Cook, Harry Eyre, who's got some work to do, and he and Blair McConaughey, who made contact in yesterday's race, and that put Blair McConaughey out, as also did Harry Eyre. They've got work to do from the back of the grid. Blair McConaughey being the championship leader coming into the weekend, and has been for quite a while. He's got some definite effort to have to put in from 23rd on the grid. All set and ready to go. Last couple of cars are in position. I think there's no Richard Hall on the grid, so I think no, he is, but it's Blair McConaughey's towards the back. We have got Harry Eyre, but he's a little bit further forward than I'd anticipated. So Blair McConaughey at the back, Stephen Lyle, race one winner at the front. The second Motel Caterham 7 270R championship race of the weekend is all set to get underway. Red lights are out, and we're heading down towards Clairvaux for the first time. It's a decent getaway from pole for Stephen Lyle, but it's a slightly better one from the outside of the front row from Carl Jones. Heading into third place is Wes Payne, as he slots in ahead of William Brunt into Clairvaux for the first time, and it's Jones that leads then. It's Lyle in second place, Wes Payne third, Brunt is fourth, Gaunt is fifth. They're all going to wiggle their way through. We'll also keep an eye on the white car with the black nose at the back of the grid. That's Blair McConaughey. He won't stay there for very long as he turns out through Hawthorns onto the back straight for the first time. Everyone's getting through the S's nice and cleanly, nice and safely. All good so far. Onto the back straight they charge, and already it is side by side for the lead. We're looking at Tim Steele battling with Michael Curley, but for the leaders down towards the town, it will be wheel to wheel for position, and Stephen Lyle's got himself back in front. So Stephen Lyle then back into the lead off the start. A couple of battles further back as they scrabble for position mid-pack out of Tower. Now through Jim Clark S's, and here are the leaders. Lyle is back in front of them from pole. He managed to squeeze back past the Tower corner. Carl Jones in second place in car 11 there, the black car with the green roll cage, and the Wes Payne car 38, which looks white from this distance, but it's actually kind of a pearlescent type sort of effect on that car for third. William Brunt fourth, and then fifth and sixth are together as they head out through the sunny complex into the complex here for the first time. So Carl Jones putting Lyle under pressure already, but now he's having to fend off Wes Payne as they turn back in. As for Blair McConaughey, where's he got to on his first couple of laps? He has moved up too. He's going past, further back in the pack, past 31. So car 31 on the grid was John Cox. So he's got past the 3 or 4 rows ahead of him. He's up to roughly roundabout. That's about 16th or 17th place already. So good progress made as Lyle leads the way across the end of the first lap. It's Carl Jones in second place, William Brunt in third. He's actually taken third place from Wes Payne, exiting the final couple of corners. So Payne's back in front now, and into fifth position has gone. I think that's Curtis Jones. So Fraser Jones. So Fraser Jones is now into fifth position. So the Joneses are now in second and fifth at this point in time. Max Gaunt's been shuffled down to sixth, although he's having a good scrap now with William Brunt at this point in time. Watch out for Peter Wales in car 52. He's in the mix there. He's in the black car with the orange roll cage, challenging the Gulf-coloured car of William Brunt in front of him. And Max Gaunt in front is the blue car with the yellow roll cage. Diving down the outside position is Peter Wales. He takes another place away from Brunt, who's being shuffled down to the bottom of the top 10 quite quickly. He's now got the 43 of Alan Curtis in his sights, and behind him is Dan Clayfan. So all sorts going on towards the second half of the top 10, but for the leaders, it's still Lyle versus Jones at the front of the field on this second lap. It's another half an hour race, so 30 minutes for these Caterham 270Rs to circulate Croft circuit here in North Yorkshire. There goes third and fourth. There's Payne, then Jones, Max Gaunt in fifth, sixth now for Peter Wales. Strong start for Peter, up in P6, seventh place for William Brunt. And it's Curtis, Clayfan and Errol to round out the top 10. Wind their way through complex the first time. What about Blair McConaughey? Whereabouts is he? He's got past a couple more cars. He's now trying to work his way past. I'm watching Tim Steele just out the commentary box window. We're looking at our scrap now that's going on for fifth place downwards. Stephen Lyle on the first proper flying lap takes the fastest lap of the race on 34.755. So he's got the pace at the moment as they head down towards Clairvaux for the third time. So as for Blair McConaughey, he's now up into 14th place. So he's managed to work his way through, and even ahead of Harry Eyre, who is only made as high as 18th. So not as much progress as he would have wanted to have made. As they come back through the first couple of corners, it's now still going to be Stephen Lyle trying to pull away. We're watching the battle for fifth. There's now Max Gaunt coming under threat from Peter Wales. Gets the good run off the corner, down the back straight towards Tower. He'll go down the outside. He's done this once. Looks to the outside again, and Max Gaunt lets him through. He'll try and fight back on the exit because yes, you're on the outside line, but the traction you can get on the race, off the racing line, could be a little bit better if you pick the right spot. William Brunt's back in there as well. Looking back to our leaders again, still Lyle from Jones, no change there. The gap is about 5.5 to 6 tenths of a second at the front. It's then Wes Payne holding on to third. Fraser Jones is fourth, and Max Gaunt is at the head of that group, scrapping over fifth place. turn their way out of the sunny corners again. So Wales takes up the mantle as the head of that group now. He's got past Max Gaunt down the outside into Tower Corner. So all as well at the moment in line astern. Just in there, I think, just behind Dan Clayfan is Alan Curtis, isn't it? Yeah, so there goes Dan Clayfan. He thinks he decides to go on the attack up the inside of William Brunt to make the move, and that's going to be 4, 7 and 8th, and whoa, William Brunt gets onto the grass, puts the power down and finds he's got less traction than he was hoping for, and now he's got Alan Curtis to his inside line to charge past, lose him another spot. So sadly for William Brunt, he's now marching his way towards the back of the top 10, and the car that will catch him soon is going to be Blair McConaughey, because he just set the fastest lap of the race, 1:33.885. He is a full second faster at least than everyone else in the pack. So Blair McConaughey, if he can get himself to the front, I'll be very impressed. Speaking of the front, I can see the top two are quite close, but we're now watching still Alan Curtis fending off a resurgent William Brunt, who's trying to recover here as best he can. But of course, the fact he's got some charges from very, very fast guys behind him trying to close him down will be certainly of immediate concern. We've got Ryan Errol and David Morgan not too far away, as also Blair McConaughey in 12th place, so watch out for him in car 34. Leaders then back out through Croft, that very fast right-hander, and then again to the complex of sunny in and sunny out, and then to the double right-hander, back onto that short straight towards the complex again. So Wes Payne's trying to go with the top two here, and for 4th place now it's going to be Fraser Jones ahead of, well, they've changed around, so Fraser Jones is up to 4th now, but he's being caught by Max Gaunt, who is back ahead of Peter Wales. That's changed back around again, and then we should have Dan Clayfan followed by Alan Curtis, then we've got William Brunt. And also in there now, we've got Blair McConaughey just watching him on screen here in 12th place. He's just behind Ryan Errol in 10th in the green car, number 33. And David Morgan in the silver car with the black nose and the orange roll bar. That's David in 11th place. So Blair McConaughey's got the pace, but he needs to start picking off the cars in front of him that are now lapping on a similar pace to him at the moment. 4 laps in the books now. We've still got 23.5 minutes to go in this race. Thumping over the curves, that big bump on the apex of Kurt Clever has been catching out so many drivers time after time. Now they come up through Hawthorns and into the S's once more. This is lap 5 now as they come back onto this back straight, and they charge down towards Tower once again. So the lead gap is about half a second between the top two at the moment. There's plenty of battles going on mid-pack, so take our focus for a moment. Just keeping an eye out my commentary box window for our top two. They're just going through Jim Clark S's now. They are nose to tail, and they have got Wes Payne not too far away from them as well. Here they are on screen, and here comes up the inside Carl Jones. He looked up the inside of Barcroft, but again, that wasn't really going to work, as given that such a high-speed corner. So he settles back into line as they turn in through Sunny in. Remains in the position through Sunny out, and Wes Payne's in there too. A little wide for Stephen Lark, kicks up the dirt as he goes on the exit. You've got to be careful of those exit curves, because we've seen them smash off rear wings on these cars on more than one occasion. And look at that, big move up the inside line for Carl Jones. They just about touch wheels, super clean but tight racing, wheel to wheel stuff through the complex into the hairpin. Wes Payne fancies a piece of this too. He's looking to the outside to get the undercut exiting the hairpin. If he gets a good run here, which he does, he pulls alongside on the exit of Carl Jones, who was wide on the exit of the hairpin. Through to second place he goes. So a smart move there from Wes Payne. It all started really from Stephen Law running wide on the exit of Sunny out. Then the opportunity where Carl Jones went for it down the inside line. They went wheel to wheel into the complex. Little touch of wheels, but nice clean, fair racing other than that. And then they were so focused on each other that Carl Jones was so looking too far ahead that when he looked to his left-hand side, he saw Wes Payne charging past him. I think that's Dan Clayfan there, as we saw we're going through the right-hander, with a bit of damage to the nose. So that won't be helping his aerodynamics, nor his cooling. Now there's yellow flags on the exit of Hawthorns. Well, there were at least. There are still yellow flags there. For what reason? Truthfully, I'm not sure, because I can't see a car that's pulled off. So I know there is a car by the barriers. Forgive me, there is a car by the barriers. I'll catch it. I think it might be John Cox in car 31, because his car's up against the barriers unless somebody else has stopped. And whether that's a legacy of that contact which I think Dan Clayfan's had on the front of that car, or whether it is Dan Clayfan's car, but the car's overheated due to the damage on the front end, because the radiators are sat right at the front of these cars, so if you bump the nose too much you can dislodge and damage the radiator. We saw that with Pete Walters earlier on in the 310R race, where the damage he sustained after contact in the lead group meant that he was forced to pull off and and retire from the race with a non-score due to his car had been getting a little bit too hot. So, quick progress check for Blair McConaughey. He's now managed to pick himself past Dan Clayfan and then also Morgan. I think the car has gone off. It looks like it is actually John Cox in car 31 then, so that's the car that we're missing on circuit. That car's dropped down to the tail of the bottom of the timing tower, so watch out for that. Lyle turns his way through with damage to a left rear then, so what if that little tap between himself and Carl Jones was what dislodged that left rear wing. Although that said, it did happen a couple of times to a couple of the drivers where, because it's such a steep edge of the curb when you go over it on the exit of Sunny Out, it can damage, even throw off those rear wings if you're not too careful. Looking further back here, this is the 74. That is 73 Dan Clayfan battling with David Morgan. It's a good run, and despite the damaged front end on that car, it's got enough speed and enough momentum off the S's down the back straight in the toe to squeeze past on the inside line, and then Morgan will try and fight back. It is Clayfan's corner, and he slots into now 10th position. That's into a top 10 spot for Dan Clayfan. Meanwhile, leaders are back through Croft into the Sunny Complex. Wes Payne is now the main pursuer of Stephen Lyle. Stephen Lyle, of course, came very close to his first win before yesterday at Brands Hatch, when he was beaten to the flag on the run on the run to the line on the last lap at Brands Hatch by Carl Jones. He snatched it just at the line by a mere few thousandths of a second, whereas here at Croft, Stephen Lyle was able to put that right and take his first Caterham victory. So there is on screen watching is Blair McConaughey. He has now got past Alan Curtis. He's now up into 7th place. His next target will be P6. That will be William Brunt. And to be fair, the pace he's setting, looking at his last lap time, was a 34.568. He's lapping on leader pace because the leaders are doing 34.1s. Blair McConaughey then lowers the fastest lap time even further at 133.8. He really is flying along at the moment, at least 3/10 quicker than the rest of the pack in front of him. And the lead is only 6.9 seconds away from him. So if he keeps on this pace, keeps on racking in some quick laps, there's nothing to say that he couldn't catch the leaders. He's got plenty of time. He's got just under 18 and a half minutes to go. Dan Clayfan's car there with the front nose section just hanging, looking a little bit bedraggled as the one portion of the nose started to just sort of curve up a bit thanks to the aerodynamic pressure on the front of the car. He's now just behind Ryan Errol. That's a scrap for 9th. Here's our leaders again up through the complex. Wes Payne's last lap was only half a tenth slower than Stephen Lyle's. So Lyle will be hoping to score some more strong points to push him a little bit higher in the championship. Wes Payne will also want to try and do the same. Coming into the weekend, it was Stephen Lyle and Wes Payne were tied on points on drop scores, both on overall and drop scores coming into the weekend. But Lyle will have managed to pull a couple of points back on him from yesterday's win, whereas Wes Payne, of course, finished in 3rd. So there is a bit of a points difference there. Blair McConaughey came into the weekend leading the championship on drop scores, but I'm sure with his non-finish yesterday, he will get some points back due to the virtue that they do drop a couple of their worst scores in this championship, so drop scores are very much in effect. Equal lap times or so from the top 3, all did 1 minute 34.1s. And as for Blair McConaughey, so did he. He was 6/10 quicker than William Brunt, but he was about 10,000ths of a second behind him. So that would suggest that he was putting him under pressure and possibly trying to get through, heading into the right-hander, which he has. So Blair McConaughey's up another spot. That's him up into 6th place. So his next target now is going to be breaking into the top 5. The first of those targets with Max Gaunt in 5th position in car 4. There is Blair McConaughey to the right shot on the live stream. Car 34. The white car with the black nose, championship leader coming into the weekend on drop scores. To try and preserve that as much as he can, as our leaders then head out of Tower Bend. Watch them going through the Jim Clark S, and Stephen Lyle still being put under pressure here and being kept honest by Wes Payne. Wes Payne has won a race before in Caterham's previously, but hopes to try and get to the top step again. He had a bit of a unique paint job last year. He had a probably purple pearlescent paint scheme, but he's done something a bit more extravagant for this year's livery. He's going to try and make a move here. He's all over the back of Stephen Lyle into the complex, so Lyle just playing the defensive card, trying to put the car in the middle of the road to stop either Payne or Jones trying to get through. Back into the hairpin go the leaders. And also interestingly, in the space of literally less than a lap, it's taken Blair McConaughey to get right onto the tail of 5th and 4th position. So he's up the inside now of Max Gaunt to get the run off the corner, and already by the time they get to the line, he's in front. So there's our top 3, with Wes Payne putting Stephen Lyle under pressure. There goes the top 3. The 4th place should now be, I think, Fraser Jones, and then Blair McConaughey. Yes, into the right-hander they go. Blair McConaughey's up another spot and sets another new fastest lap of the race, 1:33.674. So if he can manage this will be one of the drives of the weekend from Blair McConaughey, and he's still got half the race to go. He's picked off all but, what's that now, 4 cars in front in order to get himself into a strong podium place. And there he goes, charging past Fraser Jones, easy as you like, into 4th place. Meanwhile, the leaders are going to be, there's been a change for 2nd place, because Carl Jones has gone charging past Wes Payne into 2nd place behind Stephen Lyle, so there's been a change for them. But up into 4th now, and leading this group is Blair McConaughey, and I wonder now with the pace he's got, either he's too strong for them, or he will bring them with him to make it an even bigger leading group. But my guarantee has to be, with the pace that he's currently setting, and the fact that he was only 5.7 seconds off the lead, and he's lapping at about 7 to 8 tenths to even a second a lap quicker than the cars in front, he will catch them in the next few laps. That's a guarantee, I'm sure, unless there is any kind of issue. Round the outside for the lead comes Carl Jones on Stephen Lyle. His first major attack he's been under, but now looking for the switch back on the exit. Carl Jones tries to put the car right on the exit of the corner, which he does. Stops Stephen's retaliation dead in its tracks. And so as these 3 continue to fight here, watch for the white car Blair McConaughey in 4th place, which would be just behind these 3. He's really trying to pull away from Fraser Jones. And Stephen Lyle here comes back under threat from Wes Payne. And now basically Wes has seen how Carl Jones has managed to do it, so he's going to have a go for 2nd place in a moment. So Jones, Lyle, Wes Payne, and there's Blair McConaughey in 4th then. So 4th then trying to close back in. The gap is down to 3.6 seconds. So look at the last lap times. Carl Jones' last lap was a 34.9. It was 36.2, 36.1 for Lyle and Payne. McConaughey was on a 33.7. He's on fastest lap pace, lap after lap, which is pretty incredible. Lyle gets back into the lead down the back straight at Tower Bend, holds the line. Payne goes back through into 2nd place at the expense of Jones. So in the space of 1 straight, Jones has gone from first back to 3rd again. And the pace advantage that Blair McConaughey has over everyone means he's completely dropped the scrap that's going on for now 5th place between Fraser Jones, Max Gaunt, William Brunt and Alan Curtis. So that's going on from 5th down to 8th. So there is 14, which is Fraser Jones. He's leading that next group now that Blair McConaughey's broken away. Now I'll be intrigued to see how much the gap has closed in this time by, as that 2nd group goes through the Sunny complex and back into the complex. Once more, this is lap 11 in this race, and visibly McConaughey's just about there. There he is, the 4th car in shot, going through the car shot now, the white car number 34. That's Blair McConaughey, and I remind you, he started 23rd and last at the back of the grid. So this will be literally the drive of the season for him if he can hold on to this and actually make it happen. He's right there. He'll start to get a tow now from the 3 cars in front. Across the line they go. Lap time wise for the top 4. Let's have a look at it. Well, Lyle leads. And it's another new fast lap of the race for Blair McConaughey. 33.4 now. 1:33.465, and there he is, the car 34 on stream. Blair McConaughey, the Flying Scotsman, and certainly he's put himself right into contention here. He really could win this race if he gets an opportunity. So, possibly side by side for the lead now between Wes Payne and Stephen Lyle. We're looking back at Max Gaunt versus William Brunt on the stream, but I can see the change for the lead happening here on screens. Down the outside, look, Wes Payne. Lyle fights back under brakes and keeps his nose in front as they turn into Tower Bend. But now, not only is Carl Jones back in there, but so in that lead group is Blair McConaughey. He's in that lead group now. It's not a leading trio anymore, it's a leading quartet. There on screen is the battle for 4th down to 5th, 5th down to 8th position. Here's Stephen Lyle, however, out through Croft. He's got a tiny gap, but just to his left on screen, if you're watching the live stream, is that battle for 2nd, 3rd and 4th. And Payne has it at the moment as they turn him through Sunny in and Sunny out. Blair McConaughey's there too. Now then, is this going to be the cork in the bottle? Is he going to find a bit of a more challenging time here getting past these 3 cars, or can he pick them off one by one in order to get himself to the front and do a real back-to-front job? Into the complex again, top 4 altogether. Blair McConaughey then on the back of Carl Jones to put himself into a podium place. Wes Payne takes the wider approach into the hairpin to try and get the undercut if he can. was forced to take the wider line, and now Blair McConaughey with a great one off the corner. Now he's in the slipstream. He will go for third place on Carl Jones. Which way will he go? Jones will stick the car right to the inside of the circuit unless he has to go to the outside to take the racing line. Who will lead, however, in front. Wes Payne looks to the outside, under brakes on Stephen Lyle. Into Clairvaux they go. Lyle holds on, and Blair McConaughey goes sideways and he spins! Oh, Blair McConaughey loses it. Blair McConaughey, after all that hard work for the back of the grid, still at 10.5 minutes. It's not completely over, but he quickly gets it going again. He just hit the bump on the inside over the curb and round it went. So, recovery drive take 2 for Blair McConaughey this time. Now, if he can manage it, 10.5 minutes to go in this race. How much further can he get back up the Ore? He's going to do it all over again. He's back in 8th now after he had that spin, but he was so close. That had to be agonising for Blair. He wants to try and pick up as many points as he can after he DNF'd yesterday. Every single point for him will really count in these last 3 meetings here at Croft. Then we've got Snetterton in a few weeks' time, and then a couple of weeks after that, the season finale at Cadwell Park. He really has to take every single point that he can to hold on to the championship lead, particularly when drop scores come into play as well. So less than 10 minutes to go then. Into the final third of the race comes the race leader, Stephen Lyle, with Wes Payne on his tail. Carl Jones now unchallenged in third place after the threat that he had earlier on. But I imagine the pace that Blair McConaughey has, I mean, again, he was lapping at least a second quicker than everyone else. I suspect he might have time to possibly do this, but even if he can get past the three or four cars in front, it's going to be a challenge. Now, he's already... Okay, he hasn't caught the 4 cars battling over 4th, but them scrapping amongst each other will certainly help him. And then again, he's not too far away from the cars in front. If he can still do this, I'll be absolutely amazed. But it's going to be a very tall order for Blair. On screen, watching the cars for 4th down to 7th, battling away in that quartet. Leaders come back across the line with 9.25 minutes to go. So Lyle still leads. Payne in 2nd place. Carl Jones is 3rd. Fraser Jones is 4th, followed by Gaunt, Brunt, and Curtis, and then the recovering Blair McConaughey in 8th. We're having bad memories about that turn 1 at Clairvaux. And again, it's that curb and that bump on the inside line. I hope we keep talking about it, but it's been catching so many drivers out on so many occasions, whether it's a cage from a Fun Cup or a City Car Cup car. Drivers, no one series has been immune to that bump and that inside curb at Clairvaux. Meanwhile, Max Gaunt, who watching the scraps going on between our leaders for 1st, 2nd and 3rd. Behind them, Max Gaunt's gone round the outside of Fraser Jones to take 4th again. So Max Gaunt has gone back up to 4th. Fraser Jones is in 5th. Then it's Brunt, Curtis, and the recovering Blair McConaughey. And he's not. And looking outside the window, going as they go out of the Jim Clark S and towards Barcroft, he hasn't caught back up to them. He's trying, but I think the fact that those 4 cars in that group battling for 4th down to 7th are in that big group and getting one big tow, it hasn't really helped him. He's getting close now, so maybe through some of the faster corners and under brakes he's a bit stronger. But again, what he has to do now is really pick these cars off very quickly, one by one. They're going to go back into the complex, all 5 together now, because McConaughey's on the tail of that train for 4th position. And his tail will be up now, so he's going to try and pick them off as quick as he can, try and get back to these front 3 who are not too far away. Now, his first target is going to be Alan Curtis, but Curtis will be helped by the fact he's got a tow from William Brunt. So McConaughey will get a double tow down towards Clairvaux. Here they go. Top 3 again through the right-hander. 4th of the wide for Wes Payne on the exit of the right-hander at Clairvaux. Bumping over the curb was Max Gaunt. Through the dust on the camera, we're seeing Max Gaunt just holding on to the position. McConaughey still hasn't got past Alan Curtis, so he's still in 8th, but maybe down the back straight he might get a chance to pick off at least one of these cars in front. Not quite close enough, but we'll wait and see if he can make any headway here. There 3 cars that are about to go into combat over 4th. Might well help him some. The inside shoots Fraser Jones, and he has gone for the move. And Blair McConaughey, goodness me, that was off camera, but he took 2 cars diving last minute into Tower Bend. That was a superb overtake. It's a shame the cameras missed it, but still, massive dive up the inside from Blair McConaughey up at Tower Bend from nowhere, and caught both William Brunt and Alan Curtis completely off guard. Went from 8th to 6th in one move. He is not hanging around. He wants to get back to these front runners as quick as he can, but he is running out of time. 6 3/4 minutes to go. Wes Payne holds on to 2nd place, still chasing down Stephen Lyle, who will go for his 2nd win of the weekend, of the season, and of his career in Caterhams. So they come back into the complex again, top 3 as they were. Now for the 4th place group, where's McConaughey? Well, he's got past now Fraser Jones. Now he's getting past Max Gaunt quickly. He'll try and get past as quick as he can, and it's not over, because if Blair McConaughey can get past Max Gaunt here with a good run off the corner, which looks like he has got in the slipstream, he's going to try and line him up here, and he's going to try and do what he tries to do to Carl Jones if we can get in the slipstream. Let's try and stick with this if we can. So lead, battle of the fourth is on then. Down towards Clairvaux, look to the inside line. And is he through? Looking at the commentary box window. Yes, he is. He's through this time, right. So Max Gaunt lets Blair McConaughey get started back through. Now then, with less than 6 minutes, can he catch the top three again? Let's watch for Blair McConaughey, car 34, championship leader, the white car with the black nose and the black roll bars. Watch for him now in fourth place. He's now under attack from Max Gaunt, which is the last thing he needs to try and catch up to them. He might well have to try and defend here this time by. On the stream, Blair McConaughey then under threat from Max Gaunt again, who he's just passed into Clairvaux. But 5.5 minutes. Now the gap between now fourth and third is 5.3 seconds. That might be a bit too insurmountable for Blair McConaughey to try and get back past. And what's not helping him is he's under threat from Max Gaunt behind, who is not leaving him alone now that he's passed him. So McConaughey's got to get his foot down here. He's going to have to lap, put in some superhuman lap times to catch up to these guys, and even hope that the top three close back in again and start to fight, or he's hope something happens between the top three in order to help them out. What hasn't also helped this cause is that the top three, all in that last lap, set personal best. They were all 34.0s, the fastest of which by a fraction or so was Carl Jones. So the top three are back together again. That will help him a little bit, but even so, 5.3 seconds with only 4.75 minutes to go. That seems quite an impossible task, but nothing's too impossible. But Blair McConaughey will certainly give it a red hot go, but he'll be cursing himself for making that mistake when he tried to pass Carl Jones, just bumping the inside curb, and as a result of that, that is just where it really didn't work out. So up now towards Clairvaux again. What's the gap now? It's still 5.3 seconds. So his last lap was a 34.098. So he kind of, anytime he lost trying to battle with Max Gaunt, he's now managed to get it back by getting past Max and then putting in some quick lap time. So that gap is looking visibly out of the commentary box window, looks a little bit too big. He needs the cars in front to really start to hold each other up, but if he can, he'll try as hard as he can to close back in. Watching on stream now, we've got William Brunt now battling away with Fraser Jones and Alan Curtis out through the right hander, and Brunt gets a good run off the corner. Now side by side, looks one way then the other, but Fraser Jones is going to hold firm as he goes through the Jim Clark S's nose to tail. But yeah, I think that's Max Gaunt, who we're looking on stream now in 5th position behind McConaughey. I'm going to check his lap times. They're going to have, I think, possibly 3 more laps, I think, maybe. They might have time for 3 more, I think. Depending if they can cross the line before we get to about rest line, it's going to be close. Maybe 2 more laps, maybe 3 if they're quick enough. We'll have to wait and see what the timer says when they come through. Now, McConaughey has pulled away from Gaunt, but again, he's not catching the top 3 quick enough. Again, it's a case of what might have been. If he hadn't had that spin up at Clairvaux, he would have been in that mix, and certainly I'm sure would have been leading, and it would have had a gap on the 3 cars he's trying to chase down in these closing stages. He'll be kicking himself for that, but that's motor racing. Those sorts of things happen, and he is desperately trying his hardest to try and keep in the mix here. Blair McConaughey, their new fastest lap of the race, 33.2. He was basically a full second quicker than anyone else, but as try as he might, he'll need to try and take at least, 2 seconds a lap out of them in front to try and even get close enough to make an attack, more than 2 seconds per lap to try and get that done. That will rely on the top 3 holding each other up and just slowing each other down, but at the moment they're still running at a pace that suggests they're not going to do that. It was a 34.1 for Lyle last time by, 34.3 for Wes Payne, 34.2 for Fraser Jones, and the 33.2, the new fastest lap of the race, as we mentioned, for Blair McConaughey. He's in no man's land now. He's got that gap to Max Gaunt, so he's not under threat from him anymore, not giving him a tow. But again, just not close enough to the leaders, who, as you watch now, are still pretty close for first and second. Now, if these two scrap on the last lap, it'll bring Carl Jones back into play, but of course it means, though, well, if a mistake like that, it'll certainly bring Wes Payne back into play. Stephen Lyle was a little wide on the apex, and look, he is bringing Carl Jones back into the mix. So, a mistake there from Carl Jones on the first apex of Sunny Inn brought Wes Payne back into play, and because Wes Payne had to slow up to avoid getting to the back of him, it's brought Carl Jones right in the mix. So, into the complex for the second to last time. McConaughey's there in the background, watching on the stream. It's the white car that flashed through the top of the shot, but again, he's just not closing in quick enough. He needs these guys to either really hold each other up on this last lap, or, not that we want to see it, something to happen between the 3 if they come together, but that's a big if. So, onto the pit straight, 1 more lap to go then. Lap time wise, how they're looking. It's Blair McConaughey across the line, and he does a 33.1. He's pushing like crazy. 2.9 seconds is the gap now between himself and third place. He really is going for it, but it's going to be, I'm afraid, too little too late, I think. He'll have to settle for 4th off the podium, but again, credit where credit's due. One of the drives of the weekend so far. Just that one little block on his copybook in this race, having that spin at Clairvaux, but hats off to Blair, championship leader, driving essentially for not just a result, but essentially to keep his championship lead. He's doing ever so well to close back in. He'll get very close, but just not close enough to make that move. He managed to pull back 1.5 seconds on that last lap because the cars in front did 34.6s, 34.7s. He put in a 33.1 to get that fastest lap of the race. So leaders then up through Barcroft for the final time. Stephen Lyle's holding on and resisting that pressure from Wes Payne in second place. Carl Jones is still in third, but looks like Stephen Lyle with just a few corners to go will hold on for the moment unless Wes Payne's going to try and get him on the run out of the final hairpin. Carl Jones will stick close in second place, and what are Blair McConaughey's chances? What could have been? Wes Payne just looking to the outside. Might have a last opportunity to try and sweep around if he can, but Lyle again puts that car right in the middle of the road to stop any chance of Payne getting through. Out of the complex, into the hairpin for the final time. One last look for Wes. Can he get the undercut, exiting the left-hander? Turns to 180 degrees and back onto the pit straight. He will try and get in the slipstream, but it might not be enough. He'll close in, but it's going to be too late, and it will be a double here at Croft for Stephen Lyle in the 270R Championship. Stephen Lyle wins race 2 with a fantastic effort. Second place for Payne, third for Jones, where Blair McConaughey sets another new fastest lap of the race at the end of that, but unfortunately has to miss out on the podium by 1.6 seconds. But he'll be absolutely gutted at missing out. But again, a proper drive from Blair McConaughey, and again, if you're around the circuit, please give them a round of applause. That was another brilliant race, particularly for Blair McConaughey as well, and the top 3. Brilliant driving all around from everyone involved, and top class racing from start to finish from all of them. Cross the line for the rest of the order. It's Max Gaunt in 5th, Fraser Jones picks up 6th, but it's Alan Curtis in 7th place. 8th place goes to William Brunt, 9th for Dan Clayfan, and 10th for David Morgan. And well, as a small consolation, at least Blair gets to overtake them on the slowing down lap. He got past Fraser Jones, but unfortunately, races forever, so it won't quite count towards the end. But again, he'll get just the personal satisfaction of getting past them on the road. The rest of the field comes through. Congratulations to all of our 270R drivers. Again, like the 310R drivers, they'll be back out for their next rounds coming up. And here's the confirmed provisional results. So, Stephen Lyle wins by 0.3 of a second from Wes Payne in second place. Carl Jones in third, and Blair McConaughey, what a heroic drive from the back of the grid to what could have been a win, has to settle for 4th after that spin. Max Gaunt 5th, then it's Fraser Jones 6th, Alan Curtis, William Brunt, Dan Clayfan and David Morgan rounding out the top 10 minutes. Harry Eyre, who couldn't rise higher than 11th, he was really off the pace and had to settle for outside the top 10. Michael Curley was 12th, Peter Wales, Tim Steele, Oliver Smith, then Craig Mingus, Darrell Cresswell, Roger Gaunt, Paul Herndon, Richard Hall, and then Ryan Errol, the final finish. We lost Duncan Cook in the closing stages, and we also lost John Cox, who was parked up at the barriers exiting at Hawthorns. The fastest lap of the race, of course, went to the charge of Blair McConaughey, 133.105. So as a consolation, he will at least get a bonus point for that as well. He'll get, I think, just as many points as he would have done having scored 3rd place. So, well done to all of our Caterham 7270R drivers for an excellent display of driving. Next up on the timetable is our second race of the weekend for the Caterham Road Sport Championship, sponsored by Mission Motorsport. That's coming up very shortly, and I'm sure we'll be hearing hopefully from Andy McEwen down in assembly, so stay tuned. More Caterham action from Croft here with the VRSEC and Caterham Motorsport on its way in just a few moments' time. 270Rs are done and dusted.